Hello and welcome to the channel of Ashaliach once again. I trust that God is blessing you. And today is the 3rd of March 2025. We're marching into March. Now, with that in mind, I want to. This video is a little bit different from other videos, as you can probably see, because I want to really, in a way, interview my own wife about some of the things that she's heard from a man that she's been following since when?
2002.
2002. Now, this man came to faith in 1995, excuse me, and he is not an educated man. He doesn't have a channel. He is not interested in social media. He is not even educated according to the world's standards. But God raised him up and he started to say some things which I find very, very interesting. Now, I've been listening to my wife talk about this guy for a long time. He is an ex-shaman or shaman. So, in other words, he was deeply involved in the dark arts from the age of 7. And that is all he knew. But the Lord visited with this man in 1995 and gloriously saved him and raised him up to be what many would call as a prophet. Now, before I say anything more, I just want to read a verse from Proverbs chapter 12, verse 15. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he who heeds counsel is wise. Now, believe the Lord gave me that verse because over a week ago, I got 2 titles to 2 messages, and one was called Marching into March. The other is called Jumping on the Bandwagon, and that message will come later on. But basically, what this verse is saying is quite simply, sometimes if we think too quick and jump too quick, we come to conclusions that are not accurate. So again, what does it say? The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he who heeds counsel is wise. So listen to what is being said. Take it to the Lord and you decide. Now, again, before I start speaking or asking questions of my wife, this man, as I said, is not an educated man. He was just visited by God. He was a shaman. He was into all sorts of witchcraft and dark arts and all sorts of things. And believe you me, I understand that a lot more than what I used to, courtesy of being out here in this country. It is prevalent. It's all over the place. And do not underestimate the power of darkness. Having said that, I have no fear. I have no fear at all, because he that is in me is greater than he that is in the world. But anyway, this is not about me. This is about the Lord Jesus Christ, ultimately, in raising up this man. And I've been very interested in some of the things that's been said to me over the years. Now, he has prophesied many things, and they have all come to pass. And this happened in 1997. So he was saved in 1995, but he received a vision in 1997, or visions, and he was shown a number of things. And what really, there's a number of things that really piqued my interest in this individual. One, he was not educated. Two, he does not have a social media presence. He gets asked to go and speak to churches in various other places because of what he says. He was mocked and ridiculed at first, but then they saw that these things came to pass. And so not only was he raised up to go and speak to churches and meetings and things like this, but he was actually raised up much further. So I want to ask my wife about this background of this individual, this ex-shaman. What happened to him in the context, in the sense of being invited, being asked to work for certain people, being asked to give advice? Give me a little bit of information about this man.
So he become advice for president full time for 10 years since 2004 until 2014, and then still advice for president and other special for military until now, but not full time but part time, whatever country needs, and he always help them, and yeah, consult for many things.
So he came from a very low and humble and dark background, not only to go and speak to churches, but he has actually spent 10 years full time with presidents. And then since then, part time. That reminds me so much of some of the prophets in the Old Testament. Some were so highly favoured, they were constantly in the king's council. The king always consulted them. And then others, not so much, but they still had this bit of respect because of what the prophet prophesied, and thought to themselves, well, I better sort of listen to this guy because, he does say some things that are very, very interesting. And so I understand that this man, and I know that this man, I've done some research into some of the things that he said, and I've went back and looked and did some my own fact checking, not the fact checking of the mainstream media, friends. I'm talking about real fact checking. So it appears this man is very legitimate, very passionate, and believes what he says, and people take notice, especially people at the very highest level. Now, why are they paying attention to what he says at the highest level? Because he who sits at the very highest level raised him up from humble beginnings. And so I just want to ask my wife, can you give me a few examples of what this man has said which has come to pass?
When God give him vision, and vision 1997, what's happening, many things, and I will share for three very big about one of island Indonesia named Timor. God give a vision 1997, and he already share this island will be removed from Indonesia, and only 2 years after he prophesy, and this will be happen. So Timor become Timor Leste, so become independent, so separate from Indonesia. This is the big.
So this happened, or this was prophesied in 1997, Timor,
Mm.
and it became Timor Leste in 1999. Now, a referendum was held in 1999 regarding Timor becoming independent. they had, so that was 1997, the prophecy. 1999, the referendum was held, and it was approved. In 2002, it actually came to pass. They became independent. So this island became independent. It basically left Indonesia. So that came to pass.
And then second, he already saw about 2020 pandemic. He saw economy stop and people not moving everywhere.
So again, this was prophesied. When was it he prophesied this?
In 1997, when God saw to him.
So the vision, 1997, about the pandemic.
Yeah, 2020.
And what my wife told me was because what the government did and the military did, they ran simulations based on the information that he was giving. They ran all these things and they came to the conclusion that it was not a war that stopped the economy. It was not a war that stopped people moving. It was disease. That's what they came up with at the time. It was disease that would stop the economy, that would blow it away, and it would stop people from moving. Again, think about it, 1997, and this came to pass in 2020. So what is the other prophecy that you would like to give us, one or two?
One of the big things he already saw about Vice President 2025. Who is become president, Vice President 2025? Young man.
So when did he get this prophecy about the vice president? And so are we talking about the vice president of Indonesia or some other country?
Indonesia.
Indonesia. So when did he receive this prophecy?
1997.
1997.
Yeah, but he shared to government and other people, important people, 2021, and no one believed.
So he received the vision in 1997. He shared the information in 2021. No one believed him. But here we are in 2025, and this individual is now the vice president. So there's many other things that can be shared, but we're trying to keep this video short, and just to give you a flavour of some of the things that God is saying. And again, that's up to you to take it to the Lord, and you can decide yourself. But the title of this video is Marching into March. Now, I have no idea what's coming in March. And I've seen things, God's given me visions and all the rest of it, but I don't know exact timings about certain things. You've heard many of the things that I've said. So I was very interested because March of this year came up with regards to this individual, this gentleman. And so I want to ask my wife, what did this gentleman, this ex-shaman, say about things that are coming which the Lord had shown him?
He already shared to all the church last year what's coming in 2025, and he say March start shaking, but very bad start in June, a few months, maybe until the end of this year. So the global crisis in 2025 and March start shaking.
So there's going to be a lot of shaking starting in March 2025. But June is specifically going to be a bad month.
Very bad.
And it might go to the end of the year.
Yes.
And did he give any information about beyond this?
And this because this is 2025 high crisis, and next year is high inflation, and 2027 economy start moving.
And did he give anything beyond 2027? Did he give any information? Did the Lord give him any information regarding future years?
Oh yeah. He say even 2 years ago say, because this is God so to him since 1997, 2029, uh, people back to the uh, beginning, got to give the no use like online shopping, because people like from one island to another island they can sell, so they will become independent, so people from Sulawesi cannot sell to Java. This is what God saw him.
And I understand from what you said to me that the Lord had showed him that what was going to happen all the way up to 2035.
Oh, this is a special Indonesia 2035. China will have domination for a special a textile industry in Indonesia, and textile industry and technology.
Okay, so what I read from that, it seems to fit in with some of the things that I believe the Lord has shown me and shown many other people, especially coming up to 2029 when it says people are going to become independent. I've said quite a few times, and many other people have said, now is the time to prepare, to come out of Babylon, to become independent, grow your own food, have your own communications, have your own communities, and look after each other. This seems to fit in with what I'm being told. And obviously, going further forward, as my wife talks about China having control, there's obviously things that are going to happen. Now, look back at the messages regarding the beast system and some of the other messages that are given. And again, it's not about me. I'm just saying it ties in, but it doesn't just tie in with what I'm saying. It ties in with what many other people are saying. It's like we've got 4 years to get our act together. So don't go thinking you can wait until the end of that 4 years and they say, all right, okay, I'll get myself into good shape. God is saying now, He's saying right now, get your act together. Now, God is with us, nothing to be frightened of, but He's giving us a heads up. Now, ultimately, you need to take all of this to the Lord and you decide yourself, is God really speaking or is this a lot of garbage? You decide. But God is giving us a heads up. Now, the Lord spoke to this man specifically about Indonesia, but He gave him prophecies also about the entire world. And that talked about what Anna just said, starting in March, going through to June, being absolutely terrible, and possibly going through to the end of the year. I don't know. I've no idea. I'm just presenting this to you guys for your prayers. Now, does that negate some of the things that I've said and many others I've said in the past about darkness and light, wealth transfer, and all the rest of it? No, that is actually happening right now for God's people. And I'm seeing it in people's lives. Great things are happening, but it's running beside the darkness. And the light is pushing the darkness aside, but the darkness isn't giving up. It's putting up a huge fight. So it's up to us to take it in prayer to the Lord, pray about these things. What do I do? How do I do spiritual warfare? How do I engage in this battle? But I can assure you one thing, friends. The battle is not won sitting on the settee doing absolutely nothing. Now, I know some of us like that, we can't get around and all the rest of it, and God has us sitting there as intercessors and prayer warriors and so on and so forth. But for many of us, there are things that the Lord is calling us to do. So, this has been presented to you. I hope you found it interesting. It's a little bit different, but it's giving you information from another part of the world where God is speaking to people. God's never without a voice, no matter which country you're in. God is not without a voice. He's speaking continuously. He's in control, and the war has already been won. But we need to participate. We need to be hearing from God and doing our part as well. So again, I trust that you found it a little bit interesting, and it's some food for thought. And so I'll leave it at that. Is there any final words you want to say?
Yeah, keep pray to God and what can guide us. How can we prepare? But this is Simon always warning people since 2015 in here to prepare for your own food.
Yeah, and that's something. Yeah, just what talking now. We're seeing this community here becoming independent. A lot of people growing their food, and there's a lot more work that needs to be done. I saw this in a community when I left New Zealand. I was part of that community, and that is taking off. There's a lot of people doing a lot of work behind the scenes, and I'm sure it's happening all over the world. And as I've said in a previous message, try and become a part of some sort of community. Reach out to people, pray to God. Who should I speak to? How do I interact? How do I build up this community? How do I interact with this community? How do I take part in this community? But these are things that God is saying to us about becoming independent. Independent from the beast system. And that's a message I recently gave. The beast system. If you've not seen it, go back and listen to it, or listen to somebody else that's talking about these things. But be prepared, friends. Be prepared. God's warning us. But again, no fear. We're living in great times, and God's got us covered. So God bless you. Until next time. Bye bye.